Good morning and welcome to the class. It's 11:15 in Dublin. First, I hope we have no problem with the connection with the Wi-Fi. I have my telephone in the hotspot, so hopefully there's no problem with the Wi-Fi, the connection, the computer, technology. Hopefully everything is okay. I also have a dog and sometimes he barks and he's a little loud, so hopefully there's no big problem with the dog also. And the family, we have 7 people at home, so hopefully there's no big interruption as well. So welcome to the class. The idea is to give a free class, and during the pandemic when people are at home, to try and help and to teach especially people who maybe have no access to English. So it's a good opportunity. Also for me, it's a good opportunity to continue to work and to return to work, because in May I stopped because it was impossible to continue working and from home. But finally I have a little space and a little location now to try to teach and continue. So fingers crossed, day by day, and hopefully I can continue next week and continue today, tomorrow, and so on. So first, I hope you understand me. I am sorry if you do not understand me. I have a little note here to apologize if it's very difficult to understand me or your level is very low. I hope that you understand me, and I will try to keep in mind people with different levels and different abilities, because it's very difficult. And you have the captions at the bottom of the video, the subtitles. I think normally correct, but sometimes errors, but in general they are correct. And if you want to make a comment or to write, that would be fantastic. Today I think we have people from Indonesia, Hungary, Romania, France, Spain and other places. So if you want to say hello in the comment, write a message and I will reply later and everybody can see. Okay, so today, English. I want to give you an introduction. So every day I give you an introduction to the grammar, and this is the topic. This document is the most important in my opinion at the beginning with a student. This document is the most important. We have 3 sections: use of English, the different tenses and the different times, and then grammar. So first I want to explain the technical concepts and the technical vocabulary, because during the class I mention some technical vocabulary, so it's important at the beginning to explain the concept first. Okay, and then we will look at an article from a newspaper. Yesterday we continued with this article from the New York Times, so I will analyze the vocabulary and the grammar for this. And then we will continue to phrasal verbs. I have a list here of phrasal verbs that are very important, and idioms as well. Okay, so that's the idea. Also, as I said, everything is free. And at the end, if you want to make a little contribution or a little support of €1 at the end is possible. That's my details on PayPal. It's optional, it's not necessary, but if you're happy and you want, there are the details. Bizum, and this is fantastic opportunity with the telephone if you want to make a very simple tip. That's possible as well at the end. Okay, so first is the introduction document. So every day I explain this document, and if you are returning to the class today, you are probably familiar with this, but also it's very important to refresh again. And for the new people, I want to show you this document for the first time. So when you learn English, there are very important aspects in my opinion. The accents are very important. Different accents in Ireland, different accents in England, Scotland, America, Australia. For example, if you are in Indonesia and you travel to Australia, or you speak with people from Australia, the accent is very strong and very hard and very different from Ireland, from England, from the United States. Okay, the same from Romania, Hungary. If people travel to London, it's the same problem. Or the television, the movies, you have the different accents are very, very important in English. Okay, we have a category, an area in English called phrasal verbs. So the concept of the phrasal verb is very key. Basically, it's a verb and a preposition, and it's possible literal significance and it's possible second significance, completely different. And in conversation with friends, with family, in movies, in series, phrasal verbs are so common and so important. Okay, so basically it's a verb and a preposition. And a preposition is related to the position. For example, on, in, at, beside, in front of, behind, ahead, above. There's a lot of prepositions, and that's connected with the phrasal verb, the concept of a phrasal verb. Okay? The next concept is an idiom, like an expression. So every language has funny expressions and entertaining expressions with friends, with families, like metaphors. So also in English they are very important, and today we will continue with a list of idioms and expressions to help you understand very conversational English. Okay? Conversation is very important when you want to improve English. Speaking is so key, and if you have a friend or a teacher or somebody to practice speaking, it's a big part of improving English and very important. Pronunciation also is a big aspect of English, and here is just a little example of a list that might be problematic for some people. So for example, yellow, jacket, cash, register, a jet engine, fragile, jealousy, yearly, chicken, and kitchen. That's just an interesting list, probably particularly for Spanish speakers, and it's important for the future. Okay? The next section is the time. When you speak in English, what time do you want to speak? Do you want to speak in the past, yesterday, tomorrow, the future, or now in the present? So we have a few concepts that are very important. For example, the simple, present simple, the action you do at the moment, the past simple, the action that is completed and finished in the past, and the future simple, the action that you will complete in the future. That's the basic concept of the simple. We also have the continuous, the action that you are doing in the present continuous. I am eating, I am drinking, and the structure is the subject, the verb to be, and the gerund. So I am going, I am talking, I am drinking. The past continuous is the same. I was eating, I was drinking, I was looking. And the future continuous, I will be eating, I will be going, I will be talking. Okay, so that's the simple and the continuous. We also have the concept of the perfect. So there's the present perfect, which is an action that started in the past and it's finished, but it's still relevant to the present. Okay, and the construction is the subject, the extra auxiliary verb to have, and the participle. For example, I have eaten my breakfast. It started in the past and it's finished, but it's relevant to now because I am not hungry at the moment. So I have eaten my breakfast is the present perfect. The past perfect is a period in the past that's finished, usually before another action in the past simple. And the construction is subject, extra auxiliary verb have, and the participle. For example, I had eaten my dinner when my friend contacted me, or my breakfast. I had eaten my breakfast when I looked at the television. So it's usually a period before the past simple. Okay, it's a bit technical, but that's the basic explanation of the simple, the continuous, and the perfect. And there's also the future perfect as well. I will have eaten, but it's a bit more complicated. Okay, so just to be familiar with the basic concept and the basic idea first, because during the class I identify the different tenses and also the infinitive. The concept of the infinitive, or the base of the verb, is very important. For example, in English, to eat, to go, to drink, to have. So usually it's to eat, to have, to go. That's the infinitive. Okay? And also the final two, conditionals, are very important. The theory of the conditional is a bit complicated and a bit heavy, but basically it's related to if. If it rains today, I will go to the city centre. If I win the lottery, I would buy a house. If I had met my friend, I would have spoken to him better. So there's a few different sections of the conditional, and it's a bit complicated and a bit heavy with the theory, but in reality it's very fluent and it's very important. Okay? And the final concept is the active and the passive. So in English we have the active and the passive, and probably in other languages it's a similar concept. So basically the subject, the verb, and the object. I kick, como patear in Espanol, kick the ball. That's the active, but the passive is the ball, extra verb to be, was, participle, kicked by me. So that concept is very important, the active and the passive. And the explanation is a bit heavy, it's a bit technical, but these technical concepts are very important in English always, for every level, okay? Now we have more here with grammar. So a basic introduction to the grammar, the concept of the substantivo in Espanol, the substantive or the noun in English, and here it is. So basically a person, a place or a thing is a substantivo or a noun, and it's very important. For example, the hand, the head, the jacket, shirt, the table, substantive or noun, okay? But with a substantive we need the article, and in English we have two articles. We have a and the. Indefinite article a and definite article the. You can see here in the text, okay? So a is the indefinite article, a house, or the house, specific article, definite article. We have one rule: when the word begins with a vowel, it's necessary an, okay? An apple, and that's a little exception and a little rule. So that's the concept of the article and the substantive. We also, in relation to substantive, the concept of countable and uncountable. Is it possible to count the substantive? One book, two books, three books? Yes. But for example, water, chocolate, air, money, it's not really possible to count air, chocolate, money, water. So for this situation, they are uncountable. For example, it's impossible. One water, two chocolate, impossible. So they are uncountable. And that's important in relation to how much and how many. And you can see here in the document how much and how many. So how many is related to countable. How many books, how many bottles, how many people, countable. And for uncountable, how much. How much money, how much chocolate, how much air. So that concept is important, okay? And a lot is flexible. It's possible a lot with countable and a lot with uncountable. So for me, if you have a doubt, a lot is probably more comfortable and more frequent and flexible. Okay, the adjective, the concept of the adjective is to describe the substantivo or the substantive. So you have substantive or the noun, the house, and the adjective big, big house, and the position is before. So the adjective is before the substantive, okay? Big house, yellow car, a happy person. So that's the position. Adjective describes the substantive. The next concept is an adverb. Basically, an adverb describes the verb, and the suffix or the ending of the adverb is ly in English: quickly, slowly, happily. And here you can see the concept of the adverb, okay? And ly is the usual or normal ending or suffix, okay? In Espanol it's mente, suavemente, lentamente, rapidamente, okay? So in English it's ly normally. Now we have a concept also of the modal verbs, and modal verbs are very flexible, very common and very adaptable in English, and they're so important. And here we have a few examples. Can is related to ability and permission. So I can run a marathon, I can jump a mountain. So it's my ability, or my permission is another possibility. So I can speak to my friend, I can go to the match. It's permission and ability, okay? That's can. Could, may and might are very, very similar. May and might are a little more polite and a little more formal, but the three are related to possibility. So I could go to the shop if I wanted, but I am not sure if I want. I could go to Italy. It's an option, it's a possibility. I may go to France. It's a possibility, it's an option, okay? So could, may and might are possibilities and options. Shall is related to should, and it's very similar. It's a little old English and it's not so common, but it is formal and it is important to know. Shall we go to the cinema? Should we go to the cinema? Will we go to the cinema? Should is more for advice and recommendation. So my advice for you is you should speak to your friend, you should have the chocolate, you should jump in the river. So should is advice and recommendation, okay? Ought to is practically the same as should, but it's more formal and more, it's older English. You ought to, and the pronunciation is difficult, okay? It's the same really as you should. Must is obligation. you must go to the cinema. You must have that jacket. It's obligation. It's necessary. Have to is the same. Must and have to, obligation. Okay? And the rule, after the modal verb, the next verb is the infinitive, but we eliminate to. That's the exception and that's the rule. So modal verb, the next verb is the base, the infinitive, but we eliminate to. For example, can, go, can eat, might drink, might have. The error or the mistake is might to have. We eliminate the to. That's the error. Okay? Very important. And preposition, so we spoke already a little about the preposition. The preposition is about position and movement. So I speak to you, direction, I speak to you. I am in the room. I am on the chair or on the table. So the position is very important. On, in, over, below, beside, above. There are many prepositions, maybe 150, and this is just a little list. Also, we have the concept of the pronoun, the object pronoun, the subject pronoun, and the possessive pronoun. Okay, they're very technical, but they're very important. For example, give the book to me. The book is mine, or it is my book. Okay, there's 3 examples. Give the book to me, that's the object pronoun. The book is mine, that's the possessive pronoun, and it is my book, that's the determiner. Okay, so that area is confusing a lot, and it's very important because many people confuse the difference. Okay, and if you want to study that, I recommend it. Finally, the difference between this, that, these, and those is also very key. So this is singular here, this, that is singular there, these is plural here, and those is plural there. Okay, so again, this singular here, that singular there, these plural here, those plural there. Okay, that's basically important. And furthermore, we also have another concept between another and other. So basically, another is for singular, another day, another week, another year, and other is for plural, other weeks, other days, other years. Okay, so that's the concept of the difference between another and other. And that's a little introduction for today. So also we have linkers, conjunctions. Those linkers are very important to link to sentences, to link to clauses. However, although, furthermore, as well as, but, they're all very, very important. Okay, and that's just a little introduction for today. So every day I explain this document because it is important to remember again and again and again. And also, if you have no exposure or no experience with English, it's necessary at the beginning that you are familiar with the concepts and the structure of the grammar, the structure of the language, basically, especially if you're only beginning and especially if you're only starting to learn English. Okay, so that's the reason it's very important for me. So now I'm going to go to an article. So from the newspaper, I have an article about the New York Times. So here you can see the article from the New York Times at the top, and the story is about Dublin. So a person has visited Dublin and they describe the visit, they describe the trip in 36 hours. Okay, so it's a description of Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Last week we started the analysis of the vocabulary and the grammar, and yesterday we continued, and today we will continue. So you can see the pictures, and the story is from September in 2019, just before the pandemic, before the problems, when everybody was able to travel freely before, but obviously not now. So we are on the 4th page, and my structure is I try to read and practice pronunciation. So I read a paragraph to practice pronunciation, and then after I read, I analyze the text and I explain the grammar and the vocabulary and the concepts. Okay, so here is the map, and for example, I think I can show the full article, I hope. With the internet, I'll click here. I also have it prepared in my document as well. So yeah, I'm going to go to my document here, because this is where we stopped yesterday, the whiskey tour and the whiskey museum. So this was the vocabulary from yesterday, and you remember we spoke about the grain, the batch. A batch is like a collection, a batch of people, a batch of products. It's a collection or a set. So difficult vocabulary. So we will continue today. So at 7 o'clock on Friday, this is the description of the activity. And in my opinion, the vocabulary is a little advanced, a little difficult, but at the same time, it's very native level, and this is the level that you want to have at the end. And I will try to keep in mind people with different abilities and different levels to explain. Okay, so in the green heart, I'll read it first and then I'll return to the explanation. In the green heart of the city's south side, lively St. Stephen's Green, you'll find students lounging on the lawns, tourists feeding the pigeons, and office workers taking a break. Stroll around the ponds and flowers, stopping in the northeast corner to see the tribute to Wolfe, an 18th century revolutionary considered father of Irish republicanism. Note the slabs of stone lined up behind the statue. Dubliners who love to nickname public monuments have dubbed it Tonehenge. Stroll down Dawson Street toward an aperitif at Peruke and Periwig, a cosy and atmospherically lit bar. Chatty bartenders whip up some of the city's best cocktails, around €13 each, with spiced gin, local whiskey and enhancements like applewood smoke. The cosy second floor with its velvet chairs, oil paintings and windows looking down onto the bustling street is an excellent place to sequester yourself for an hour or two. So vocabulary is a bit difficult, it's probably advanced, but we try to understand and we try to explain now. Okay, so possession first. This subject here is related to possession. So the south side of the city is the possession of the city, and that's the structure we use for possession. For example, Brian's pen, John's car, Italy's weather. So for the possession, we have the apostrophe and the S. Okay, so that's very important. Lively is an adjective, and I want to write here in my notes so you can see as well. So lively is the adjective, and you need to be clear the difference between the verb to live. Okay, substantive is life, and the plural is lives. Okay, plural. And then another adjective is live, like in directo in Espanol, for example, music. The music is live, the football is live, or the concert is live. And then the other adjective is lively, in relation to a lot of life in the city. The restaurant is very lively, the atmosphere is very lively. So here is an example of the family of words. So the pronunciation is different. The verb is to live. Okay, so here the verb is to live, and the adjective here is live in relation to music, and also lively is related to the city and the atmosphere and the environment. It's very lively. So Stephen's Green is the park, and it's very lively. A lot of people, a lot of tourists, a lot of activity. It's very lively. Okay, there is another expression we have that's very conversational. We say alive and kicking. So if the party is alive and kicking, the verb to kick is like with the football, and alive and kicking is describing the situation that's very animated, very happy, a lot of activity. It's very possible to say the party is kicking. That's a little informal, and it's very cool party, great atmosphere, everybody's jumping, everybody's having a great time. But alive and kicking means you're happy and you're functioning and you're working. Okay, here we have another verb, lounging. Okay, students lounging. So the verb is to lounge, and it's typical in the bar. So in Ireland, the structure of the bar is you have one area which is the bar, and then the other area is the lounge. So basically, to lounge, the verb is to relax and to stay calm and to enjoy. It's possible in the hotel as well. You have the lounge, like the lobby, very similar to the lobby and the lounge. So it's possible in the house, in your room, you can lounge around with the preposition, like to walk around, to relax, to lounge around. Okay, that's possible. And here in the example, it is lounging on the lawns. So that's difficult vocabulary as well. The lawn. is related to the grass. It's probably a little more formal of grass in the garden. You have the lawn, which is the green grass, okay, and it's very typical for the castle. So in a castle or a very important building, the grass is probably the lawn, okay. In tennis, the competition in Wimbledon, it's the lawn, All England Lawn Championship, because it's the grass. It's probably more formal word, lawn. Also in English we have the lawn mower, which is the machine to cut the grass, okay. The lawn mower, because the verb to mow is very similar to cut, okay, and that is an important verb, to mow, like to cut. Maybe in the military, in the army, when there's a lot of shooting and a lot of weapons, you can mow down. It's like destroy or cut. So a lawn mower is the machine that cuts the grass, basically, okay. And here the lawns in Stephen's Green are very preserved and very looked after, very controlled. That's probably the reason it's appropriate to call them lawn, okay. Feeding, so the verb is to feed the baby, feed the animal, the verb to feed, but the past is irregular. So I feed the baby in the present, and the past I fed the baby, okay. Very important in relation to irregular verb. So to feed is the verb and the past is fed. We have one expression in relation to fed. It's very famous, fed up, okay. There's an example of a phrasal verb. You are, the verb to be, you are, or I am fed up, okay. And it's very famous, very important, and basically it's related to work, it's related to life, it's related to every situation. For example, you're working and you feed, you receive a lot of work. The same concept as to feed. You receive a lot of work, and eventually it grow and continue to the maximum, and you are not possible to do, it's not possible to do anymore. So you are fed up, like tired. You're tired and fed up, okay. Very conversational, very important. So it's similar to tired. It's also possible in English to say sick of. I am sick of the weather, I am sick of the situation, which means that you're tired of the situation. Not physically sick, but just tired or fed up. Very important, okay. Good. So pigeons is vocabulary for the type of bird. The pigeon is the type of bird, and there is an expression, pigeon English. I think if you have pigeon English, maybe a little different spelling, but it means very basic English. If you have pigeon English, it's very basic and very simple English. That's an expression. But pigeon is a bird and a type of bird that is typical in the park, especially in Ireland, in Stephen's Green. Okay, this verb is good and advanced, so everybody understands the verb to walk. I walk around the city, I walk to work, I walk in the garden. Everybody, the majority, understands walk, but stroll is a little similar but more relaxing and enjoyable. So if I stroll around the park, I'm walking, but the significance is more enjoyable, more relaxing, a stroll, okay. So the verb is to stroll, and it's a type of walk, relaxing walk, okay. To stroll, the verb, and the substantivo is a stroll. And for the baby, we have some vocabulary for the object that you push the baby. That is possible, a stroller, a baby stroller, okay. Also your job, if your day and your job was very easy, very comfortable, we can say your day was a stroll. It was very easy. So it's possible, flexible in other situations. Your day was a stroll. It was very easy, okay. There is more vocabulary, for example, to ramble. So to walk, to stroll, and to ramble. So to ramble is similar to walk and similar to stroll, but it's more adventure. So if you're rambling around the city, you're maybe no direction, you're just enjoying the atmosphere, you're enjoying the city. To ramble, and the substantive is a ramble as well. Also with a person when they speak, for example, in a conversation, one friend speaks and continues with no direction, no logic, and just speaks. It's possible to say your friend is rambling, okay. So it's possible walking, and it's possible speaking as well, with no direction and just continue, okay. Very good and very important. The pond is vocabulary in relation to the water. We have the river, we have a lake, and a pond is just smaller. I think a pond is smaller, typical in the park. Not exactly a lake, because a lake is bigger, which connects to the ocean and a river, but a pond maybe has no connection to a river. Okay? You need to be clear with the difference between pond and pound. So pound is money. In the United Kingdom they have the pound, but the pronunciation of the water is the pond. And it's very famous to travel in expression to cross the pond. So for example, Ireland, England, it's very famous in conversation here to say you are going across the pond. The same with Ireland and the United States, to travel across the pond. Okay, so that is important for sure. To travel across the pond means to go to the United States or to the United Kingdom. Okay, and then here we have the preposition in. So you're stopping in the northeast corner. It's location. So basically it's the northeast corner of this country, and it's in because you're dentro in Espanol, you're inside. Okay, so no problem really. Tribute, the typical preposition with tribute is tribute to, and normally it's the verb to pay. Come out with money, you pay money, but you pay a tribute to, pay respect to. Okay, it's typical with the verb to pay a tribute to. So I will write that here. So just to remember, to pay a tribute to, and that should be perfect. My spelling is a little bit bad. And here's the same, a tribute to. Okay, slab is very specific vocabulary, and it's related to concrete. So you have one slab of concrete is one portion of concrete. A lot of slabs, typical on the ground, you have a slab of concrete. Okay, so it's very, very specific vocabulary for stones and for concrete. And here's the same, you have a slab lined up. Again, that's a phrasal verb. So to line is a verb related to the line, the substantive, and line up is typical in school. So the teacher always says to the children, please line up. So line up means organize, John, position of the people in a line. So line up is important as an instruction. Also in sport you can have the lineup, which is the starting players, the players that start, that's the lineup. And in entertainment, if you go to a concert and the concert begins at 8 o'clock, you have the first act, the first artist at 8 o'clock, the second artist at 9 o'clock, the third artist at 10 o'clock. That's the lineup. Okay, so it is important in different contexts, for the concert, for football, and for school. Okay, so I will write that just to remember. To line up in school, the lineup in the substantivo in sport, and also the lineup in relation to the concert or entertainment. So very, very famous. For example, Friday night, what is the lineup? You have the party at 8 o'clock, the dinner at 9 o'clock, and the disco at 1 o'clock. Okay, that's the lineup, for example. Okay, behind, that's just a preposition, behind. So in front of, but behind. Okay, to nickname. So good vocabulary, apodo in Espanol, apodo. So my name is Brian, but my nickname is B, for example. And in other languages, I don't know exactly, but it's very typical to have a nickname. And this website, I want to show you this website. Today I found this website and it translates into different languages. So if I press nickname, if I type nickname and then translate, it gives me the translation into different languages. So I just want to show you this technique. I don't know if I will continue to use it in the future, but here is the translation for nickname in French, Indonesian, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, Thailand, Thai, Vietnamese, Italian, Japanese and Chinese. So sometimes it's good to check the vocabulary for me in the class to show you, but we have so many people from different countries that maybe it's a good idea to use that page sometimes. Okay, so to nickname is to give the short name for a person and a short name for an object. To dub is like to call. It's a maybe more informal or more alternative way to say to call. So I call Dublin my home, or I call Dublin the big city. and to dub is to give a name. I think it's similar in the series. For example, the original language in the series is English, but when you watch the series in Romania, you watch the series in Indonesia, you hear another actor speaking. So that's to dub. Okay, it's to give another word or to give another language. So it is important. And we can say the series is dubbed. That means the series is original English, but the voice is a different language. Okay, so to dub. So it is advanced vocabulary. The series is dubbed. Also, in relation to series, always in English, always it's S with the plural. So in Español, por ejemplo, es una serie, pero en inglés it's a singular, a series. So it's irregular. And that's very important because it's very common today to speak about Netflix and to speak about series. But always in English we have a series, singular, a series. It's irregular. Okay, very important. And here it is dubbed. Again, stroll is like relax, walk, very comfortable, stroll down the street. And the preposition down is typical for the street. So when you're walking, it's possible to walk up the street and walk down the street. Okay? And toward is also a preposition, very important. In Espanol it's hacia. So pasear hacia in Espanol, but in English, walk toward. Okay, in the direction. Okay, very good preposition. Cozy is excellent vocabulary. It's very comfortable, very warm. For example, your room, the living room, the house is very cozy. It's very comfortable. It's very warm. And for example, the jumper or the jacket is very cozy. It's very comfortable and very warm. Very good vocabulary. Okay. Lit. So this is description, atmospherically lit. This is the adverb because you have ly in relation to the atmosphere. And then lit is related to the verb to light. So the light is the luz in Espanol, but in English the light is a verb also, to light. But we say for a cigarette, for example, to light your cigarette, the verb to light. And in relation to the bar, they say the bar is lit. So the verb is to light and the past simple is irregular. To light and lit. So the past simple is irregular, lit, L-I-T, and also the adjective is lit. So you can say the atmosphere is lit, the party is lit, a little informal. So there's two possibilities. The room is very lit, means it's very bright, literal, okay? So the room is lit, a lot of light, a lot of sunshine. But it's possible informal and very cool today to say the party is lit or the person is lit. And that means they're energetic, they're on fire, they're in good humour, they're very happy. So that's possible, two meanings. Lit, very, very happy, informal and very energetic at a party. And the second one is just related to the light. It's very bright, brillante in Espanol, okay? So in this case, I think it's brillante. Chatty, so the verb to chat is to have a little conversation. So to talk, to speak and to chat. So to chat is maybe with friends and very comfortable. Adjective is chatty. The person is very chatty. They like to talk a lot. Very talkative. So we have some vocabulary. Talkative, chatty, both adjectives. Okay. And the verb is to chat. It's possible a chat room as well on the internet. You remember they were very famous, and today we have groups, but a chat room was the original place on the internet where you can chat and talk. Okay. Also, there's a phrasal verb, to chat up, is in romantic situations. For example, in the bar, you have two people and one person tries to talk romantically to another person. That's to chat up, because up is usually positive and good feeling. So it's the sensation of one person trying to chat to another person to make them feel good and make them feel happy. Okay? To chat up. Also, we have a chat line, which is maybe an official organisation or official company that provide help for people to speak if they need assistance or help. Okay. So here, this is chatty. Bartender, very important vocabulary. So the bar is obviously the place, like the pub, the bar, the location. The verb to tend is very similar in Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Latin. I tend to you, you tend to me. So it's like help or wait. And the bartender is the person who gets the drinks for you, who brings the drinks to you. That's the bartender, who helps you in the bar. Okay, the bartender. And remember, the suffix, the er, is usually the person. Okay, for example, a painter is usually the person. It's possible irregular or, for example, director or doctor. And here it's regular, it's the bartender, and it's the plural as well with the s, the bartenders. Whip up, very good vocabulary. So whip, in Espanol, latigo, creo que latigo, pero with the horse, for example, the horse and the man, and you whip the horse, it's like hit. And the phrasal verb is to whip up, which means to create, typical with food. So today I make the dinner for the family, for 7 people, so I whip up something fantastic. It's like make very quickly and very fast, very quickly, some quick dinner. Okay, also it's related to cream. When you're preparing the cream, we say whipped cream. Okay, so whip up a dinner is informal, to make a dinner. Okay, to make the dinner. The other possibility is whipped cream, which is very specific type of cream that is whipped. And also in sport, it's informal to say this person whip the other person, like to beat. In Espanol, vencer. So this person in tennis beat the other person, so this person is the victory. So he whipped the other person. It's informal to say that you win a lot, okay, by a big distance. And informal, okay. So here the cocktails are around €13. That's approximately. I will meet you around 8 o'clock, approximately 8 o'clock. The price is around €20, approximately €20. It is around 20 degrees in the temperature, approximately 20 degrees, okay? And again, cozy. Enhance. The verb to enhance is to improve. So to enhance your performance, enhance your appearance, enhance your language. Improve, improve, improve. Okay, so to enhance is to improve, and the substantive is enhancement. Okay, so to enhance is to improve, and here we have the substantivo, the substantive in the plural, enhancement. Cozy, again, is very comfortable, very warm. Second floor. So floor is normally in the room. This is the ground or the floor, and typical for buildings, you have the ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor. In Espanol, planta. Okay, so the ground is tierra in Espanol, the ground, but it's possible ground floor in the hotel, which is the bottom, first floor, second floor, third floor, etc. Okay. Also informal, it's possible to say I am floored. Okay, and that's very conversational and very important. And I don't know if you understand the concept. This means that you are tired, you're completely exhausted, you're floored, because it's not possible to stand up because you're so tired, you have to sleep. You are floored. Okay. Also with the car, in the situation, in the motor, it's possible in the movies they say floor it, like an instruction. Floor it, like put your foot on the floor, on the pedal, on the accelerator. Floor it in relation to the car. Okay. That's possible in relation to the car as an instruction, maybe in a movie, for example, in the chase. And finally, looking down onto, there's 2 prepositions. So look is this verb, and look down onto. So on to is the movement, and down is the direction. Just an example of 2 prepositions. There is a second significance to look down on somebody, a negative significance. So if you have one person and another person, this person looks down on the other person, it's disrespect. So there's no respect. This person thinks they are better, they are more ignorant, more arrogant, so they look down on the other person. Okay, that's a phrasal verb, to look down on somebody, negative. Okay, very, very good. So that's a good example of an excellent example of vocabulary. One article, one paragraph to analyze the vocabulary, the verbs, the structures, and the information. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and tomorrow we will continue with the next page, and we continue. Okay, so I'll close this, and here is the article as well. I can close, and now, just to show you before we finish, that this list is a list of idioms. Okay, remember in the introduction, idioms are expressions or phrases, and yesterday we stopped at this example, to dwell on the past. So the explanation was to dwell is a verb, very advanced verb, like to live. For example, I dwell in Dublin, I live in Dublin, and this is my dwelling, this is my place where I live. So that it's a very advanced and very colourful, very good English, good quality English. So to dwell is a verb like to live, similar. And the substantivo is the dwelling, the place that you live, like your home. Okay. And then this concept is to dwell on the idea. If you have a thought and you dwell on the thought, it's to stay on the idea or to stay on the thought, and it's usually negative. So if something happens and you dwell on the action, you dwell on the moment, that means you stay thinking, you stay on that moment. So it's a good advice not to dwell on the moment, okay? So they say to dwell on the past, that you stay thinking about the past. Okay, so that was the last word yesterday. Today, eager is very important vocabulary. It's like enthusiastic. If you're very eager, you're very, very enthusiastic. It's really common in English and very important. So if you're starting a new job and you are very eager, you arrive early, you're very prepared, you're very enthusiastic, you're very eager. And the beaver is a type of animal, okay? And here in the translator, the beaver, because I don't know exactly the translation in Spanish. So a beaver is a type of animal, and just to give you a help, I will show you here in the other languages as well. So we'll be very quickly, it's a type of animal, and the expression is very famous in Ireland. An eager beaver is an enthusiastic person, a very motivated and very happy person. So here we go in castor in French, okay, Indonesian, castor in Spanish as well, Portuguese, Romanian the same, similar in Italian, very interesting, okay. So the eager beaver is the enthusiastic person. Easy as ABC is very famous expression as well. So if something is easy, it's possible to say, oh, it's easy as ABC, because A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the alphabet really should be easy to say. So it's possible the expression, it's easy as ABC. Also, we say easy peasy, which is very informal as well. It means it's simple. Okay, so I'll put that there, easy peasy. It's very conversational and very informal. I actually don't know how to spell peasy. I think it's just invented. So don't worry for the spelling, but the pronunciation is the key. Easy peasy. We can also say easy as pie. Pie is like a cake. Or we can say it is a piece of cake. Is very famous as well. That means it's very easy and it's very simple. It's a piece of cake. So how was the exam? It was easy peasy. It was easy as pie. It was a piece of cake. Okay? Or it was easy as ABC. So we have 4 or 5 possibilities to say the same thing. The next one is famous as well. So to eat, sleep and breathe something. So football. You are a big supporter of football. You're a big fan of football, or maybe not. So you eat football, you sleep football, you breathe football. With the verb to breathe, you need to be very important. The difference between the verb and the substantive. Okay? So the verb, the pronunciation is to breathe. The verb with the E, that's very, very important, to breathe. And the noun is the breath. So the pronunciation is different and the spelling is different. So the E is the verb and the substantive is just the breath. Okay, so very, very important difference. Okay, good. So the next one, egghead, that's very informal and very understandable. So when somebody has 2 possibilities, one is literal. When the person, for example, my head is the shape of an egg, it's possible to call me egghead. It's a little insult, so you have to be careful. So if somebody complains and argues with you, don't say it was my fault. So an egghead is the shape of the head, but the second significance is related to a very intelligent, very studious, very studious is the correct word, a person who likes to study and likes to educate themselves a lot. You can say the egghead. And there's another expression as well, the bookworm. In Espanol is gusano, and the bookworm is the person who stays in the book all the time. Okay, so the bookworm or the egghead are the 2 examples. Elbow room is important as well. So that's your elbow, and it's an expression, for example, on the bus or on the metro. If there is no elbow room, basically there's no room to move your arms. It's very tight and it's very small space. So there's no elbow room. That's typical as well. It's a verb typical in a city, to verb to elbow. So if the street is very full and you want to elbow your way through, that means to try to pass and to make space for yourself. Okay, so that's your elbow. The 11th hour is a very famous expression as well. So normally 12 hours is the end, but if you do something at the 11th hour, that means you do it at the last moment, at the last minute. Typical with negotiations, and recently with Brexit, they decide and they organise everything at the last moment, so they do it at the 11th hour. Okay, so the adjective is 11 and the position is the 11th. Okay, so for example, first, second, third, fourth, and the 11th. So the 11th hour is the last moment and the last minute. Very typical in negotiations. Another expression, I suppose, is Elvis has left the building. It's not so common, it's not so frequent, but maybe you understand. It means that the party is over, maybe the important person has left, so there's no more party, there's no more fun. It's possible, but maybe in a movie you might hear it, but in Dublin it's not so common. Okay, the next one, yes, is very general and very typical. Every cloud, so the cloud in the sky, nebulo in Espanol, the cloud. So the expression is every cloud has a silver lining. So usually, normally the cloud is dark and it's very depressing and it covers the sun, it blocks the sun. But if you remember, the sun, the outside of the cloud has the line of the sun. Okay, so that's the expression. So it looks bad, it looks depressing, it looks sad, but there's a little positivity on the cloud. So that's every cloud, every dark moment has a little positivity. Okay, very famous expression, very typical, very common in every situation. Explore all avenues is very literal. So if you visit New York, you want to explore all the avenues. So it's a metaphor in relation to your options. You want to explore all your possibilities, to explore all your choices. Very famous. You want to explore all the avenues. Okay, so it's impossible to travel at the moment, but you have the necessity, so you want to explore all avenues. You want to check all your options. Okay, the next one also is very common for sure. So the verb to catch is related to the football. Catch the football, catch the baby. If you have the influenza in English, we catch the cold, catch the flu. But if something catches your eye, it's very attractive. So you're walking on the street and suddenly something here catches your attention, catches your eye. So the adjective is very eye-catching. That dress, that jacket, that jumper is very eye-catching. It attracts my attention. Very famous expression, very good. Okay, eye-catching adjective, and very common for sure, very conversational. And this type of vocabulary, in my opinion, is very fluent and very normal for native proficient speakers. And this is the reason I recommend studying the idioms and the phrasal verb. Okay, so that's just a little example of some idioms. And finally, I just want to show you a few little examples from phrasal verbs. And again, remember the concept of the phrasal verb. It's the verb with the preposition. It's possible literal, but it's frequently a double meaning and a second significance. And this document is a very long document, a very big document, 20 pages. And last week we started and we are at page 5 at the moment. So every day we continue a little. And yesterday we finished with cut. So to cut out, to cut up is literal. So if you have your bag and you want to destroy or ruin your bag, you cut up. So up is the significance of completely or totally. Like your credit card. If you want to destroy your credit card, you cut up your credit card. And in relation to a person, emotionally, metaphorically, if you are cut up, you're completely destroyed after an emotional moment or an emotional situation. You're devastated. Okay, so to be cut up is to be devastated. So today we continue with the verb with the letter D, and the first example is to die away. So the verb is to die. In Espanol it's morir. I think so. The verb, you need to be clear in English with the difference between the verb the adjective and the substantive. Okay, so the verb is to die, the adjective is dead, and the substantive is the death. Okay, so you need to be very clear with the difference because it is an important verb. The past simple is died, past simple irregular. So sorry for the spelling there. The adjective is dead. Okay, so the atmosphere is dead, the city is dead, the party is dead, and then the substantive is the death. Okay, and here we have a phrasal verb in the example, to die away. So die is obviously sad, lose life, and away is negative because here is important. Everything that is here, the significance is important, but if it's away, it's sad and it's no importance. Okay, so for example, a celebrity, a famous celebrity, okay, they're very important at the moment, they're very important today, but next year maybe the celebrity will die away. Not necessarily physically die, but the profile, his profile or her profile will die away. Okay, it's possible drift as well, the verb to drift. If you're on the water and you're direct, but the movement with losing direction is to drift. So to drift away and to die away are very, very similar. Okay, so for example, the virus, the coronavirus at the moment is very relevant, it's very serious, it's everywhere, but hopefully next year, a few years, the virus will die away, will drift away. Okay, so really good vocabulary, very simple but very normal in conversation and very fluent and very typical. Okay, to die away, to drift away. Okay, so that's the verb to drift, and it's typical in a teenager with the studies if they're very concentrated, and the opposite is they drift away, they lose concentration. Okay, that's to die away, and the next one is here on the left. To die down is very, very similar as well in relation to intensity. So if the intensity is very high, the temperature, typical, the sun is very hot, but at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock is very hot, but at 8 o'clock the temperature will die down. Okay, it would reduce the intensity. The noise is very loud at the moment, the people in the house is very busy, but tonight the atmosphere and the noise will die down. Okay, so it is conversation and very important. Again, die off or die out is probably related to extinction, because if you are on the earth, that's the preposition, on the earth, you're living and you're good, but if you're off the earth or off the planet, you're dead and you're away. So to die off means to completely lose the significance in relation to extinction. So the dinosaur, for example, the dinosaur was living for a long time and eventually the dinosaur died off and no more. Okay, or die out. Okay, the next verb is from the verb to agree, and particularly for Spanish speakers it's an important issue because in English the verb is to agree, and I agree with you. That's the structure. I, subject, agree, verb, with you. In Spanish, estoy de acuerdo. So in Spanish you have the verb to be, estar. But in English we do not have the verb to be. That's the big, big difference. So in Espanol, estoy de acuerdo. But in English, I agree. Okay, and that's a really common error and a really typical error that you need to be careful. And this is the negative. The verb is to disagree. So I disagree with you, you disagree with me. So to agree and to disagree. Okay? And a typical preposition is with. The next one is difficult to understand, but at the same time it's so common and so frequent and so normal in conversation. To do is hacer in Espanol, or to make, to do, but the expression is to do away with, means to remove or to throw away. Okay, so I have the internet at home, I have the package, the connection, but it's not good, so I want to do away with the computer or the connection. I want to remove. Very, very famous. We have the restrictions at the moment with the mask, but hopefully the politician or the government will do away with the restriction or the rule in the future, like remove. Okay, and here's the example. To abolish or to remove. So some Americans want to do away with the death penalty. So they want to abolish and they want to remove the death penalty. Very, very conversational, very normal, very fluent in family and friends. This type of vocabulary is so normal for natives, but when you learn the language, sometimes it's not logical, and it's so small and so simple. It has a big, big impact. Okay. And then finally, to do over is very simple. Over and over is again. Over is this movement. So if you do the exercise, but you do over the exercise, that means to repeat. So I do the exercise, but I do over, repeat. Okay? There is a second significance that's a little more negative and a little bad. If your friend does you over, it engañar, to cheat. They cheat you. Your friend cheats you, they do you over. It's very informal and very conversational and very probably slang. Okay? And finally with do, to do without, that's very typical as well, but it's maybe confusing because the verb to do is to make, or at there, but in English to do without means to live without. So I have no chocolate today. In our house we have no chocolate at the moment, and I'm very sad because I like chocolate. So today I have to do without chocolate. I have to survive without chocolate. Okay? So that's the situation today. We have no chocolate. And that's an example as well, to do without. Here is the example. I could not, and that's the modal verb, possibility. I could not, in the negative. Do is the next verb. Eliminate the to with the modal, remember? So I could not do without a car in California. That means I could not survive, I could not live without the car. Okay, super. That's a really good class. A lot of idioms, a lot of phrasal verbs, a lot of grammar, a lot of vocabulary, and an explanation of the introduction at the beginning. So I'm happy. That's the level that you need. I hope you understand a little, because it's very difficult to understand in English with so many people with different levels. I will continue tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any comments, please let me know. Again, everything is free, and I'm very happy to help, and hopefully I can help some people who cannot afford and cannot have the ability to go to classes. If you want to make a contribution or a little tip, it's possible. It's not an obligation, it's only optional. That's the possibility by PayPal or Bizum in Spain, by €1 if you want, and that's the option with the phone as well for PayPal if you want. Only option, and hopefully I can continue working in this way, and that would be my ideal situation, to continue working like this. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a great day. I hope there was no problem with the connection, and we will talk soon, and see you later, and enjoy the day.